Hey, what's going on? John Sonmez here. Oh, man. And I just wanted to do a somewhat quick video. I don't know, we'll see if it's quick or not, about a topic that I've talked about a little bit, but I want to be even a little bit more frank with you on this, a little even more real. Because a friend of mine who has a channel, Game Dev Underground, okay, really good channel. You should check it out. It really, like, if you're into game development, he's got similar content to kind of the philosophical sort of mindset and, humanitarian, I would say, not humanitarian, humanistic, we'll say, a viewpoint of life. Maybe we could call it, what do we call it? I guess we'd call it, self, what is that? Like, not self-discovery. What is the name of that? Where you're finding yourself, empowering yourself. There's a big channel on this topic. Self-actualization. That's what it is. Self-actualization. Ah, man. Sometimes you just lose those terms. Anyway, he does a lot of self-actualization around game development. It's just really raw. And he did this video actually about depression, talking about him being depressed. And I really liked his approach. I hate when people do videos about depression and they talk about how, I don't know, that it's such a horrible disease and all of these things. And he just said, I'm depressed, and I'm depressed a lot of the time. And, I don't know why I go through these cycles where I just don't feel very motivated. I don't feel like getting out of bed, and I just feel depressed. And nothing really super wrong. I'm not sad. I'm depressed. And I thought that, that struck a chord with me. And I thought that I should do a video. I've been wanting to do a video about depression and kind of my thoughts on it. And I was really going to do it from the standpoint of that I don't really believe in clinical depression so much, like 95% of the cases. And, already some of you are getting, like, I can see, you're getting antsy. Fucking settle the fuck down, all right? Settle the fuck down. Let's talk about this, okay? But anyway, so what I decided was, instead, I'm just going to tell you kind of raw about what I go through. I've talked about this a little bit in some videos, and just give you a little bit more of an in-depth kind of talk about that, and just give you really what's going on, and talk about how I really think that that there's a value. Okay, there's a value, I believe. By the way, I'm feeling my YouTube groove coming back again. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I like it. So anyway, there's some value in, as a community, as a group of people, as human beings on this fucking earth, talking about how we all go through this shit. So I'm looking at some of my YouTube comments, and I often see like 19-year-old kids, 20-year-old kids, like failing university, right? This seems to be the common thing. I'm cutting myself. I'm going to kill myself. I feel like I can't face my parents, suicide, all this shit, or depression. And I'm thinking, the problem is, it's not what's going on, it's that, and then this is the problem with a lot of your problems in life, okay, is that you think that what you're experiencing is unique to you. And I'll give you a perfect example of this, okay? A book that changed my life, okay? It's called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Highly recommended, one of my favorite books of all time. But it completely changed my life because I was doing a bunch of Pluralsight courses. You can check out my Pluralsight video series on that. Anyway, it was tough. This was the year when I did 30-something Pluralsight courses in 1 year. And I was about like halfway through, and I just didn't want to do this anymore. And I read this book, and basically what the author conveyed in War of Art, what Steven said, was basically like this procrastination, this resistance, as he called it, it's a fucking human condition. It's like everybody experiences this and goes through this. It's not just you. And that was like so life-changing for me. That's what the value of that book was, to say, oh shit, this is not just me. I'm just a fucking lazy ass. Like, everyone struggles with this shit. And so it's the same thing here. Talking about depression is, I want to kind of take this viewpoint. I want to tell you, I'm coming out here and saying this because, like I said, Game Dev Underground, because he did it. And I want to, at the same time, mostly because I want you to realize that I want us to stop, saying, okay, this is a medical condition, something's fucked up with you. Like, I don't want you, nothing is fucked up with you, okay? Like, this is the thing, like, when you think that you're fucked up, it fucks you up, okay? And so many people think that they're fucked up, they need medication and shit, and I'm not saying that there's never any kind of case for that or whatnot. It doesn't matter. The point is that, like, this shit that we go through, we all go through this, like, at different times. And some people, again, some of you that are, like, jumping out of your seat, settle the fuck down, all right? Please, come on. All right, you're jumping up out of your seat because you're like, well, no, there's like sadness and depression, and there's clinical depression, and there's bipolarism, blah 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 blah, some bullshit terms that people made up to avoid the things that are unpleasant in life. And we can't avoid them. That's the thing. It's like, so, I've definitely gone through definitely bouts of depression, right? For sure. And I hate to use the word. The reason why I don't do it, and the reason why I try not to call it that, is because I don't want you guys to like be like, oh, John, you're depressed. You need some medication. Oh, you need to go see a doctor. Because this is like, when I say that, I have this fear that you're going to like say, oh, well, oh shit, his philosophy must be wrong because he's depressed sometime, and he doesn't even realize what he's going through, and let me be the mother and the doctor and tell John what's wrong with him, where I realize from a kind of a stepping back outside of myself viewpoint that I don't want this to be cured in a sense. You see what I'm saying? Like, because to one degree, this is the human condition and the struggle that I have to deal with. It's my burden as being human to learn to deal with. And it's also part of human, like the ups and downs and the curves of the road are what makes the road interesting, right? It's not just a slalom down the hill. I mean, it is. You're going through obstacles, and you're going up and you're going around, and this is what makes life interesting. And the highs would not be high without the lows. So I'm willing to embrace the lows so I can enjoy the highs much more. And it also indicates that there's things wrong in my life that I need to fix. I need to make some changes. I need to make some adjustments. It's like wishing that you could lose the sensation of pain in your limbs. It seemed like it would be a good idea until you fucking actually started to damage your limbs because you couldn't feel the pain. The pain hurts, but it's also necessary, right? It's also, and pleasure would be so dull without pain, right? You would need to have the experience of both. So my point in saying this again is that I want you to realize there's nothing fucked up and wrong with you. Like, this is the shit. Like when my buddy Game Dev Underground, again, check out his channel, said this, I realized, like, this is just life, motherfucker. Like, this is it. Like, I experience the same thing. You experience the same thing. It's hard to come out and say this because mostly the people who are coming out and talking about their depression, they're talking about it and saying it in a clinical term, saying, I have depression problems, I'm chronically depressed, I'm on medication, whatever, instead of saying, look, this is it. I go through a down period, okay? I go through a down period, and I don't need any medication for this shit. Like, it's just a cycle. It just goes and it comes, and I don't know why. And there's no reason for it, but that I can tell. Sometimes I figure out something and I change something in my life, but it's just natural. It's just fine. And when you're going through it, it's like riding a roller coaster, right? It's like, okay, if you never rode a roller coaster before, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Why is it going click, 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 right? You're like, and then it goes down. And you're like, oh shit, is this seatbelt secure? Like, will this hold me in? What happens when we go upside down? Will I fucking fall out of the thing? Like, you have all these unknowns, okay? But if you've ridden a roller coaster, you've seen it. If you've done it multiple times, then the experience, you're still getting some of the thrills from the ride, but when the things are happening that are somewhat uncomfortable, right, not necessarily the fun part of the ride, you appreciate it, like you can tolerate it because you know that that's part of the ride. You understand that, okay? So that's what I'm saying, is that, like, yeah, in the last couple of months, I've really gone through some pits, and you've seen me, and I've been pretty honest on the channel. I haven't really wanted to make YouTube videos. I haven't really wanted to do anything. I'm feeling good that I got my YouTube groove back right now, so that's a good thing. But, I don't know how long it'll last, and I don't know when I'm going to hit the pits again, but it doesn't matter, because that is just, like, it's an acceptable condition of my life, because that is my life. Right, and that's the thing, is like, you just have to understand it. And so, if I can give you one thing about it, is, like I said, is just to understand, just like I told you with the book, with The War of Art, how that influenced me and made me realize, like, it changed my viewpoint completely and gave me a new motivation, because I realized I was not alone. Right? Because I realized that resistance and this human condition of procrastination and feeling laziness and feeling like shit and having the difficulty of trying to go to the higher callings in life, the higher stations in life, that's all part of the human condition. That's something that we all share. And when I realized I wasn't alone, I felt like there was nothing wrong with me, and so I just needed to fight the fight. And that's the same thing here. It's like, again, I'm not saying that it's not possible to have some kind of serious medical issue, but really, is 50% of the population, or however what percentage, it's like 35% of people are on antidepressants. Is it really? Are we really that fucked up? We're not that fucked up. We're not, right? Chances are, odds are, you're not actually medically fucked up, but people have convinced you that you are. You've convinced yourself. You believe that other people don't go through this, and I can guarantee you that just about every single fucking person in this world goes through bouts of depression. I've seen it, right? And I've seen it in my friends, and I actually have a good, I've got another YouTube channel called Entre Programmers, where we do a weekly mastermind group, and there's 4 of us that are in that group, and you can watch the episodes, right? Because we do it every week and we're raw. You can watch where each one of us is going through cycles of depression. Each one of us has experienced it multiple times, but then we pull out, having that group and knowing that, as entrepreneurs, we're struggling, and it's not just entrepreneurs. It's life. It is, for anyone. And sometimes too, I think that entrepreneurs or people that are trying to do different things in their life, they experience it and see it more, because sometimes the job and sometimes the busy traffic and commute and all this shit, it keeps you so busy that you can't focus on what's going on, and you don't realize that you're actually depressed. Whereas when you've got some time and you got some space, you got to deal with yourself, right? And it's not always a bad thing to deal with yourself, right? Again, and the same thing, like so many of the down cycles, the depressions that I've gone through, I would not take them back, because I've come out a stronger person. I've had to actually look at myself and examine myself and really get in there and deal with myself and be real. Like the John that you're seeing now in front of the camera talking to you today, and being comfortable to say this and not being afraid, not really giving a fuck what anyone thinks about what I'm saying, in the sense that it will just flow, because I'm not afraid. That's the John that's gotten to the point from self-examining, from going through these things and dealing and giving myself that space and time to actually look in depth, to realize that this is okay. There's nothing to be embarrassed about here. And, and to be human is to be human. There's no greater fucking calling as a human being than to be real, to be raw, and to not fear it, right? And so that wouldn't have come about without these depressions. So what am I saying here? I'm saying a couple of things. One, go check out Game Dev Underground's stuff. It's cool, and check out his videos on that. I think you'll see some relation to what I'm saying. Number 2, yes, I go through it. Okay, it's not fun, and you guys know it. When sometimes the videos, I appreciate you guys cheering for some of the videos that are not my best, because that my heart's not in it, but I'm committing anyway, and I'm going through a hard time at times, right? And I'll try to be more honest about it in the future. I just don't want to make every video fucking glum when it's what's happening, or make it a crisis. But after seeing what Game Dev Underground did, I said, okay, well, there's this. I should be a little bit more upfront with this, because there's nothing to hide here, right? You guys are big enough, you guys are mature enough to actually understand this and not think that there's something wrong. And number 3 is just simply this: there's nothing fucking wrong with you. There's nothing fucking wrong. You will go through this if you haven't already, and you probably are, and it's going to come and go from time to time. And when you have the perspective that everyone is going through this, and everyone's going through cycles, and this is temporary, okay, and that there's no reason in many cases, but this is just part of life, then it's like that roller coaster where there's going to be dips. What the clunking noise is and all this, and so you don't fear it. So don't worry. Just live on. Just go on and be fine with it. Just be fine, accept the fact that you're going to be depressed sometimes, and maybe it'll be a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is, but it's okay. It's okay to be in that state. It's not a bad state to be in. Everything is okay, right? It's these are all, and it doesn't indicate anything fucking wrong with you. And so, again, I just wanted to share that from this perspective, so you realize that if you see all these people saying, yes, this happens to me, then you realize that it's okay. It's okay. And that's it. And maybe, I don't know if this message goes to one 19-year-old who's cutting himself and contemplating suicide. Hey, you're okay. There's nothing wrong. And don't worry. Just accept exactly where you are, who you are, and what your experience is. And it doesn't mean you can't shape things. It doesn't mean you can't improve your life, improve yourself. That's what this channel is all about. But it begins with acceptance, and to accept the ride that you're strapped into as a human being. Not to get out of it, not to try and, you know, the stupidest thing you can do on a roller coaster is try to unbuckle the fucking seatbelt while you're on the ride. Once the ride begins, you're strapped in, motherfucker, whether you like it or not. So just, you're there for the ride. So just experience the ride, right? The ups and downs, all of it, take it all in, because it is all part of life. And if you want a whole and a complete life, you must accept everything that comes to you without any resistance. That's my word for today. All right. If you have not subscribed already, click that subscribe button below. Join me on the journey. We can make it together. And click the bell so you don't miss any videos. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.